inspired? It is time. It is time to reveal it. It is always good to see you all. It is always good to be here. I love seeing your faces, your smiles, feeling your energy in the room. Thank you, Roy, for giving us the synopsis on this month's series, Why We Sing. Last week, we sang the song Behind It All, and the topic for the message was, Are We There Yet? And we looked to nature, realizing that many times, when we're trying to create something or we're going after a goal, you may be in school or there may be a goal in your relationship, at work, whatever it may be, you can get to a point where you feel like, well, am I there yet? This is taking too long. And we looked to nature, we looked to bamboo, and we found out that bamboo is a great teacher because bamboo builds this elaborate root system for its first 4 years. And then in the 5th year, it can grow like 8 feet in 24 hours. It's pretty amazing, right? And so we looked at that to understand that for ourselves, when we're in that journey, we're in that process, we're building our root system. And then we talked about what roots do and why it's important to have a root system so that we can sustain our growth. And so if you did not hear that message, I encourage you to go back. I believe it will definitely be encouraging to you. But we're going to move forward. We're going to move forward. Reveal your greatest life. Now that song, one of the reasons that I chose to sing that song is it's actually been our most popular musical video on YouTube. It has the most views out of any other song that we posted. And so I said, okay, well, we definitely got to use Reveal. It's a powerful phrase to me, reveal your greatest life. And for me, when I wrote the song, many of you know that I co-founded in 2011 Expansion Church with my brother Rodney McKenzie, and the tagline for that church was, unfold your biggest, baddest, boldest life. And I found myself one Sunday after church on the subway, going home, and I was thinking about that tagline, and as a songwriter, I'm always thinking of new ways to bring these ideas in song, and so I said, well, what's another way to say, unfold your biggest, baddest, boldest life? And my mind went to this word reveal, and I like that word reveal. If you think about these makeover shows, at the end of the show, there's that big reveal, and there's something just powerful about that moment. They've done all of this work, all of these things have happened. They've done the internal work, which is expressed now as their external, and that big reveal when all the family comes and everybody's around and everybody's rah-rah and cheering, it's so cool, right? So I recognize that word reveal has so much power to it, that's what we're doing. It's not that we're creating something that doesn't already exist. Your greatest life already exists. Your greatest self already exists, but it's our job to reveal it. And so I said, reveal your greatest life. And so once that phrase came, the chorus came, and I found myself singing, reveal your greatest life, as I'm on my way. Got home, didn't do anything with the song. The next day, I'm watching Oprah's Life class online. And I don't remember what was said, but Oprah's Life class is like incredibly motivating, and it's like, yes, yes, yes. It doesn't matter who's on, if it's Ayanla, if it's Deepak, if it's T.D. Jakes, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, it just gets very inspiring. And I was so inspired, I said, wait a minute, I have a song about all of this. And I just shut my computer down and went to the piano, and then that's when I finished the song. And so this song is a powerful song for me. It's a personal song for me. But as we're thinking about the message today, I wonder what our questions may be, because we can say reveal your greatest life and it feels good, stop wasting time. If you are alive, your dream has not died, which is beautiful, because it's not about how young you are or how old you are. Your dreams, your desires, the vision for your life, your destiny can come through. But how do we do that? Right? How do I live my greatest life, right? How do I stop wasting time, right? How do I do these things? And so as I began to think about that, I realized that there's something going on that we must be aware of. I think this is really the only thing that keeps us from actually standing in, living our greatest life, revealing our greatest life, not wasting time. Shout to the world, I am here, making my presence known. It's our thinking, which I think we all know that, right? Yes, yes? And as I thought about that, I said, it's our thinking that keeps us from living our greatest life. It is only what we believe that keeps us from making our presence known, and it is only what we call true that blocks us from revealing our greatest life. And as I thought about it, I said, these thoughts and these beliefs and so-called truths are like a prison. And as I thought about that, I said, well, these beliefs, these truths that we've created, these thoughts that we think, these habits that we may have developed, they're like a prison. It's the only thing that's keeping us from revealing. It's the only thing keeping us from being out in the world and being the amazing people that we are. And so I say that today it is time for a prison break. That's what I'm going to orchestrate here today. We're going to break out, y'all. A prison break. Because I recognize also, if we think about it, the prisons that we're in, some of us may be in the unworthiness correctional facility. Some of us may live in disappointment jail. Or if you're not in Rikers Island, then you're in doubt and fear island. Yes, yes? Yes, yes. And so it's time for a prison break. And the thing about being in this prison, what's empowering and at times scary is that when we're in prison, this prison that's created by our minds, we were the judge, the jury, and we are the guards of the prisoner. Now, that can feel scary because some people might want to blame themselves and say, well, oh my goodness, I'm so bad because I did this to myself, right? But if you did it to yourself, that means you can undo it. Yes, yes? And so that's why it's empowering that you're the judge, the jury, and the prison guard. And so what I want to talk about here is I want to give you the keys. The key to get yourself out of jail. And this is a powerful, powerful lesson. I hope that it's something that absolutely inspires you. I think on one level it's not new information, but I hope that we're bringing it in a way that will serve you. So what is the key? It's a formula. And it's a formula that I mentioned last week, and I said we're going to talk about this. It's a formula for creation, and when you understand this formula for creation, then you can understand how and why you created what you created, and then how to create something different or uncreate it or undo it or transmute it. The key is this. All creation happens this way. Thought with emotion plus expectation. Expectation is your desire or your belief. That equals manifestation or creation. Thought with emotion plus expectation being desire or belief, equals manifestation or creation. That's how everything happens in this world. Everything. Everything that we see, everything that we experience. Thought with emotion, can we say that? Thought with emotion plus expectation, which is my desire or my belief, equals manifestation or creation. Now, this is the formula, and it's powerful. And one of the things I want us to understand is we're talking about this formula. Why is it powerful? Because what this formula is actually doing, it's like when we build a building or build a house, we recognize that we have to first frame it. Yes, yes? There has to be a framework. And so what we do with our thought plus our thought with emotion plus our expectation, we're building the frame. And then the universe sends everything and fills it all in. In my mind, I even had the idea of a sculptor that may create a frame and then sculpt around that frame, or an artist that'll create a wire frame and then build the body or whatever it may be. And so with our thought with emotion plus our desire or belief, expectation, we're creating a frame, and then the universe says, oh, this is what you want to build? Okay. Doesn't matter what the house looks like. It doesn't matter how tall the building is. None of that matters. Whatever frame you create, the universe will always, always build it for you because it serves you, right? It serves you. So let's break this down. Thought with emotion. What does that mean? Now, we all know that thoughts create things. Yes, yes? Yes, yes. Right? We may have read Think and Grow Rich. We may have seen The Secret or read The Secret. We may be reading or studying Abraham. We may be reading or studying lots of different teachers, right? And no matter which teacher you look at, wherever you go, this idea of thoughts create things. If you're reading the Bible, as a man thinketh, so is he. Yes, yes? It's a fundamental, foundational concept. But do you recognize that although we know that thought is creative, not all thoughts create? Interesting, right? Because you would think, well, if thoughts create, then every thought is creative. Every thought is not creative, right? And that's important. Now, I was remembering in The Secret, it was told this way, and I kind of disagree with it, but In The Secret, it says that, well, you know, every thought that you have, it doesn't come right away because that would be crazy. And if you remember in the movie, there was an elephant popped in the room. Like if you just thought of an elephant and all of a sudden an elephant popped in the middle of your apartment, like that wouldn't be cool. And so they were saying that, right, these thoughts generally take time, that, you know, thinking immediately doesn't necessarily bring it true. Now, I actually don't agree with that because actually what I know is, because again, I said, thoughts create things, but not all thoughts are creative. But when you have a creative thought, time does not matter with a creative thought. And for those of you that may have heard the message, I remember I was telling a story about how I was feeling really down. I had heard about all of these different deaths. I think it was about 4 deaths in a row. And it just kind of really got me, and I left my office. I just needed to go somewhere just to kind of clear my mind and to feel good. And I said, God, I just need to see life. Because what I know to be true is that, okay, if I'm hearing about all this death, I know that life also exists well because I know that there's balance. But right now I'm not seeing it, I'm not hearing it. And so immediately my attention was drawn to the trees because it was just the beginning of spring and I was starting to see the buds. And I was like, okay, God, yeah, but that's not enough, right? And by the time I got to the corner, this was literally about a 5-minute experience. There was a woman on the phone right behind me talking on the phone. It was kind of annoying, but something within me said, look at that woman. I looked at the woman and she was pregnant. That only happened in about 5 minutes. The thought that I had that says, I need to see life, and life showed up. Not only that, once I got to the restaurant where I was having lunch and I sat there in the window, all these pregnant women just kept walking by and walking by and walking by and walking by. So that's why I say I don't necessarily agree. I recognize when we look at the masters, if you look at the things that Jesus was able to do and other masters that are alive here and now, immediate healing happens. Immediate healing is real. So it's not about time, right? I don't want us to limit ourselves in that way and think that, oh, okay, well, yes, thoughts are creative, but some thoughts take a year, some thoughts take 10 years. No, every thought, if it is a truly creative thought, can happen right here and now. And that's important because some of us need miracles in our lives. Yes, yes? Some of us need absolute shifts in our lives right now. And if it took us 5 years for that shift to happen, that wouldn't feel too good. And so, again, thought with emotion. All thought is creative, thought is creative, but not all thoughts create. Now, we can think about it this way. Again, when I say that all thought is creative, but not all thoughts create. Only the thoughts that are empowered with emotion are the ones that create, right? And this is why many times, and most of the times in our lives, the things that we fear seem to show up. Have you ever been in that space in your life where you're like, yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen. I was afraid that was going to happen. And so you use the power of your thought with emotion, fear, and it created. But this is beautiful because when you recognize this, then you're understanding that you have power. But at the same time, there have been times when you had a joyous feeling, a happy feeling, and you were like, oh, I was just so excited about it, and it happened just like I wanted it to. Because it was the thought with emotion. All thought is creative, but not all thoughts create. And so it's important to recognize that fearful thoughts and joyous thoughts are of equal power. Hateful thoughts and loving thoughts are of equal power. Okay? Now we can look at it this way. Let's think about the movement that was started by Gandhi or the movement that was started by Martin Luther King. Those were fueled by love. And they were powerful movements that changed the world, literally, by what they did. But then let's look at Islamic terrorists. Hateful thoughts, powerfully creative. I mean, they have also affected and changed the world through the emotion and power of hate. I'm not here to judge the thoughts right now. We want to understand how we create. Now, the thing is, if you want to create what you want, then you need to create from a place of love. If you want to create that which is sustainable, that which is constructive, then you need to create from a place of joy. You need to create from a place of courage. You need to create from a place of worthiness. But let's recognize that we're talking about here, thought with emotion is creative. And you can be on either side of it. This is why we have sort of the superstitious ideas about, the dark arts and black magic and these kinds of things versus light workers, right? Because what's true is that you can use either energy to create. Either energy to create. So that's thought with emotion. But then You can't just have the thought with emotion, because I don't know, anybody been like really excited and really emotional about something and it didn't come? It didn't happen? Yes, right? Beautiful. And I'll say this, and sometimes even very fearful. This is why many times, with scary movies, right? You can watch a scary movie and it can get you really scared, but then that doesn't manifest in your life, right? Even though you're having those thoughts, unless you dwell on it, and that can happen, all right? So expectation is necessary. You got to add that into your thought with emotion. And what do I mean by expectation? Well, I mean you have to have either a strong desire or a strong belief. You actually don't need both. You just need one or the other, and we'll talk about that. And what's interesting to me about desire, I love thinking about desire. Pastor Yolanda and I had this long conversation one day, and we were just really sitting with the idea, because what I've really come to understand is that nothing comes into being without some element of desire. Now, if we think about ourselves, right, we recognize that there had to be some sexual desire in order for our parents to come together and then create us. There's that, right? But beyond that, I recognize that as the scripture says, knocking on the door shall be opened, seeking ye shall find, asking it shall be given. I recognize that you could not be here except there was an asking for you or a desire for you. And so what I recognize is that actually everything that's here is a result of a desire. So many times we get caught up in the circumstances of the story of our birth, or the circumstances of the story of where we came from, or what we don't have, or what we used to have and lost, and all of these things. But if you begin to recognize that there was this great grand desire, this asking that goes beyond the ancestors that you can name, that go back millions and millions of years, that is how you got here. There was something that asked for you to be here. That was desire. You couldn't be here without it. You couldn't be here without it. But then we also have belief. And I love the definition of belief that we get from Abraham. Abraham keeps it really simple, that a belief is simply a thought you keep thinking. And that's important because, we attach ourselves to beliefs as though they were fixed, as if that's the only thing that exists. A belief is simply a thought that you keep thinking. And I don't know about you, but that's actually liberating. Because when I think about some things that, certain beliefs that were held about me as a black man, or certain beliefs that are held about, women, or certain beliefs that are held about our LGBT family, if those beliefs were true, then we would not be able to live as empowered people. We would not be able to do the things that we're doing. So we recognize that beliefs are not fixed, and beliefs do not matter except we own them. Except we put them on like a piece of clothing and say, yeah, this is me. But thank God I can take off that shirt if I want to. I can take off that jacket and them shoes if I want to and put something else on, because a belief is just a thought that I keep thinking. So what's interesting is that when we're talking about creation, we're talking about breaking out of prison here. We recognize that we have to have thought with emotion, but we also recognize that we have to have desire or belief. And so what's important is that we have to actually think it's possible. We have to think it's possible, right? There's a lot of things that we want. I'm sure everybody in the room would love $100 million right now, right? But do you think it's possible? You know what I'm saying? And so that's where you have to tap into and say, okay, well, do I really believe? Okay, well, maybe I don't believe 100 million right now. Do I believe, 80 million? Do I believe 50 million? What is it? Because once you get to that place of knowing what you believe, that's actually where the emotion kicks back in, because you get excited about it because you believe it's possible, right? And as I said earlier, you only really need one or the other in terms of the strength. It's always there. Desire and belief is always there, but you only need one or the other. And there's an example that I love to think about when we think about sickness. Does anybody desire to be sick? I just recently got through a little cold. That's why I was singing so hard today, because I'm like, I can finally sing again. It just feels good. So, but does anybody desire to be sick? Have you ever had the thought, I just want to have a cold this week. I want to have the flu this week. You know what? I want to have diarrhea this week. Has anybody just ever had that thought that you just want to be sick? Nobody has had that thought with emotion plus expectation. No, right? Okay, we don't desire it, but do we believe that we and all other people get sick? OMG. And so this is why we get sick. Not because the desire is strong, nobody desires it. But there's a belief that we get sick. Now what's interesting is I know there are a lot of people that don't believe that. There's a whole lot of people that don't believe that. You know, as I said, I just had a cold. I hadn't had a cold for like 3 years. But a few weeks prior, I kept bragging about that. Right? Because all these people around me were getting sick. And I was like, I don't get colds. I haven't had a cold in 3 years. Now, what I was doing was thought with emotion. I was so emotional, too, because I was in my, I don't get colds. And I was excited. And all of that emotion I had around it. Next thing I know, got that little tickle in my throat. And it just mushroomed and got worse and worse and worse, right? But it's funny, and I love thinking about it because I recognize, I'm like, yeah, I created this. Right? I absolutely created this because I was in that emotional thought with my expectation right there, and boom, there it is. So this is also helpful when you think about desire or belief, because sometimes there's certain things, again, particularly when we think about maybe something that we haven't experienced we've never seen before, or we haven't seen our family succeed in that way. We many times can't really believe it because we haven't seen it, but you can desire it. You can want it so bad that is actually what brings it forth. And what's interesting is desire is the thing that actually brings the speed for something. This is why if we go back again thinking about illness, when we have seen these incidents of spontaneous remission of cancer, and I've shared the story of my uncle being healed from gout, and when we see and know that there are people being healed from all types of diseases, we recognize that it was their desire to be healed. That's what brought it about so quickly. That's what brought it about so abruptly. And so that's what's powerful about desire. But belief is strong. The thing about belief, though, sometimes that's the thing you have to work on. So we can talk about tools. You can use your tools of writing to really help, as Abraham would say, build up the momentum around your belief. And so that's a daily practice. I've done that many times where I take something that I want that I don't have a strong belief about, but I write about it every day without fail. And what I've found is that as I do that, then I start to become emotional. The emotion that really wasn't there in the beginning, it wasn't strong, all of a sudden I start to feel that emotion. I start to get excited, and then things that are related to that thing that I desire starts to show up. I'll see somebody with a t-shirt that says something about what I'm looking for, or what I want to shift, or all of a sudden a program will come on TV that looks like it. And I have a great example of that. It just happened this week. I have been thinking, I've shared with you all that I'm doing this 90 Days to Greatness program, and part of the program, what I instituted, was that I wanted to make sure that I'm working out at least 3 days a week. I really haven't been in the gym like I used to be, and I wanted to get back in, and I was thinking I was going to join one gym, and that was kind of where my mind was, but more than anything, I was just really excited about getting back in the gym. Watching my boy Chris Powell on Extreme Makeover. I love him. He's one of the people that really inspires me. I just think he's just a beautiful light. And so I was just in that zone of just really being excited and looking forward to joining this gym. Well, just the other day, I got an email at work about Crunch Gym, and they were offering a deal where if you join now, October and November are free, and you start paying in December. And I was like, look at this. I've been thinking about joining a gym, and I had my mind over here, but really I was still just focused on, I want to join a gym. I want to get back into that mode. I miss it. I'm looking forward to it. And all of a sudden now, 2 months free shows up. So I went to our HR rep, who I know she also goes to Crunch, and she's always like just talking about Crunch all the time, and she loves it. She almost lives there. So I'm like, let me check in with her to find out, about this gym. She's like, oh, it's such a great opportunity, and it's a great gym, and the amenities are great, and you get a free bag when you sign up. And so I'm like, okay, this is cool. And so then she says, oh, and the other thing is, with our health insurance, if you go to the gym 50 times in 6 months, which is about 2 days a week, they'll send you a check for $200. you can do that twice a year. So that means for the year, for just going to the gym, you will get $400. I said, really? I said, okay, well, what's the red tape? Like, is it a lot of paperwork? She said, no, it's one form. I just deposited my check yesterday. She said, I've now gotten $800 as a result of this program. And so I was so excited, not so much in that moment because I called Yolanda. I was so excited because I said, this is principle. This is principle right here. This is thought with emotion plus expectation, desire or belief equals manifestation. But what I love about the universe, this is it, right? What I love about the universe, yes, I created the frame. I created the frame for this house of what I thought it was going to look like. I created this frame of the gym that I thought I was going to go to. I created the frame. I was expecting to pay more per month. I'm paying less, but I have 2 months free and I'm going to get $400 on the other end. That's how the universe works. That is so powerful, right? But it requires us using that formula, using the key to get out of prison, right? It is, oh my God, it's just incredibly, incredibly, incredibly powerful. Thought with emotion plus expectation, which is your desire or your belief, equals manifestation, equals creation. And you can create quickly, or you can take time, and that's okay. You can take time to build up that belief. But what I know to be true is that when we're creating from this place, understanding what the formula is, then we can sustain it. See, so many times in our lives, because we are powerful creators and we're creating all the time, we don't realize how we did what we did. One of the things I loved with a coach that I was working with, we worked together for a year, and that was one of the things that she really helped me with, because I would create things and amazing things would happen, and each week we were talking, I'm like, oh, this happened, and this is a win, and I just did this new gig, and all these great things were happening. She was like, okay, step back. How did you do it? Because I was so in the mode of just things were happening, just, oh, good stuff is happening. And I wasn't acknowledging and recognizing that I was doing the creating and how it was happening. So then I couldn't sustain that. I couldn't keep creating. And because I didn't understand what I was doing, thinking that I didn't do it, then that meant that someone or something outside of me could take it away. You hear that? Once you understand that you're doing the creating, that means nobody can change it but you. Once you understand that you're doing the creating, that means nobody can change it but you. And that's beautiful, right? Because sometimes you may want to shift it a little bit. You may want to change the colors, whatever it may be, right? You can shift it and change it at will because you are the creator of your life. On that, let's stand. Oh, this is so exciting. I'm excited about this, y'all. Because this is a key. Wherever you're in prison in your mind, whatever it may be, whatever area of your life, this is the key. And again, I recognize there are some things, if you're in a relationship and it feels hopeless right now, it's time to work on that belief, right? It's time to use that tool of writing, right? And maybe even if you're having some feeling in your body, maybe something that you've been dealing with or working with for a long time, you may need to build up that belief, to believe that you can be healed, to believe that you're worthy of healing, believe that you've done nothing wrong, that sickness is not a judgment on you, right? Because those thoughts, those fears still swirl all around, right? But maybe your desire is so strong. And you can know and affirm now that it's my desire that brings that which I want quickly. And many times when our backs are against the wall, that's when our desire is so strong. We've heard the stories of a mother that can save her child that's about to be run over by a car, right? And all of a sudden the mother becomes faster than the fastest sprinter, right? And can lift things that she should not be able to lift because her desire was so strong in that moment that the universe said yes. Her desire was so strong, she created the frame in seconds, and the universe said, yes, you're all powerful, you're Superwoman. Lift up that car, run, save your child. She didn't believe she could do that, but her desire was strong in that moment and she needed to do it. She didn't have time to go to the gym and lift weights and get up to the place where she could do that. Her desire was so strong. Know that you have that same power. Know that you have that same ability. And so in this moment, Mother, Father, God, we stand here remembering and recognizing that we have been created in your likeness and image. As you are creator, so we are creator. Just as you speak a word, think a thought, and it shall be, so we speak a word, think a thought, and it shall be. And so now as we recognize who and what we are, now as we have the key to unlock the prison doors, we are choosing to step through this life in power. Oh my God, we are choosing to walk through this life, shifting and changing all things at will because we know we can. We recognize, yes, that now we can reveal our greatest life. We recognize now that we can live as we are desiring to live, wasting no more time, recognizing that we are aware, awake, and alive. There is no judge, jury, or prison guard imprisoning us. We take the keys from within ourselves and open the doors. We walk freely on the earth, being light and being love and being joy and being examples of what is possible, because that's what the world needs to see. The world needs to see that it's possible to be healed. The world needs to see that it's possible to restore relationships. The world needs to see that it's possible to start out with nothing and end up at the top. The world needs to see that any circumstance or condition can be changed, shifted, transmuted to whatever it is that we desire. Because as we do that, we are living lights, living beacons, living testimonies. We leave our mark on the world for someone else to see and learn the formula through our life. And so we release these words now, knowing that we are walking through this week differently and we will walk through our lives differently. We leave it all up to you because we know you are the how. We recognize our job to build the frame, and you will fill it in beyond even what we initially desired. You will fill it in doing exceedingly and abundantly above all that we could ask or think. For this, we are so very grateful. We lift up our voices and we say, Amen, Amen. Ashe. And so it is. So it is. Thank you, God.